In the lands of ancient Illyria, a remarkable tale unfolds. Today, I unravel the extraordinary story of Queen Teuta, whose life encapsulated the spirit of a formidable era. Born from a land of rugged coasts, dense forests, and lively seafaring communities, Teuta's reign witnessed the confluence of cultures, fierce independence, and rising ambitions. The struggle between the imposing Greek influence and the emerging might of the Roman Republic provided an intriguing backdrop to her rule. Imagine a time when maritime trade routes were lifelines of prosperity, and piracy was both a tool of survival and a declaration of defiance. Emerging from thick mists over the Adriatic, the name Teuta resonated as mistress of the people, a title that spoke of both her royal blood and the people's unyielding spirit. As I trace her steps through history, it becomes clear that the world of Illyria was not only defined by ancient warfare, but also by the challenges of leadership amid extraordinary circumstances. The indigenous tribes, fiercely independent and often at odds with their neighbors, celebrated a culture steeped in traditions and customs that set them apart. In this vibrant tapestry, Queen Teuta's rise to power came at a time when the legacy of her husband, King Agron, left a kingdom full of ambitions and formidable challenges. Teuta found herself navigating a delicate balance, where the allure of expansion was always shadowed by the looming threat of Rome's expanding influence. This fascinating juncture in history not only reshaped the Mediterranean's geopolitical landscape, but also laid the foundations for centuries of conflict and change. With this introduction, I invite you to step back in time and explore with me the dramatic, turbulent, and human side of an ancient queen who defined her era through resilience, ambition, and the indefatigable pulse of the people. In the wake of King Agron's death, the turbulent currents of destiny swept Teuta into the heart of leadership. With the sudden loss of a ruler beloved and feared in equal measure, the kingdom was left vulnerable, and responsibility fell on the shoulders of Queen Teuta. Navigating the shades between grief and determination, she assumed the role of regent for her young stepson, Pins. The transition was not a simple passing of power. It was a trial by fire as Teuta grappled with the customs and expectations of a patriarchal society while forging her own identity as a commanding ruler. In a realm where men traditionally held power, she broke the mold, ensuring that her decisions honored the legacy of Agron, while also carving out a unique path that showcased her strength and wisdom. The decisions she made during these early days of her reign would seal her fate in the chronicles of history. I paint a picture of a leader who balanced personal loss with public duty, a woman who understood that her authority must stem not only from her lineage but also from victories on the battlefield and shrewd diplomatic maneuvers. With every challenge, from internal conflicts to external threats, Teuta's ability to inspire loyalty among her followers grew, even as whispers of doubt surfaced among some elite members of the court. Her commitment to continuing Agron's policies was clear in the way she focused on the realm's expansion, while also dealing with the delicate matter of maintaining stability for Pins, whose youth presented its own set of challenges. It was a time of great adjustments, personal, political, and cultural, as Teuta skillfully navigated the expectations of her people and the volatile environment of the ancient past. Through this period, the legacy of Agron intertwined with the promise of a new era, setting the stage for both internal evolution and inevitable confrontations with powerful neighbors. In this crucible of change, Teuta emerged as a ruler who was unafraid to redefine power itself, ensuring that the future of her people was, in many ways, shaped by her indomitable spirit with conviction. During the early days of her reign, Queen Teuta displayed a boldness that would define her legacy in Illyria and beyond. Determined to maintain and expand the power inherited from Agron, she orchestrated military campaigns that reached far beyond the familiar borders of her homeland. I recount how her armies embarked on audacious ventures into regions such as Elis and Messenia in the Peloponnese. With tactical precision, her forces advanced and captured the prosperous Epirote city of Phoenice, a center known for its bustling trade and vibrant commerce. This conquest was not simply about looting or pillaging. It marked a shift in the traditional raiding methods, reflecting Teuta's ambition to control and influence key urban centers. As I visualize the scenes of marching soldiers, the echoing clatter of ancient armor, and the strategic maneuvers employed in battle, it becomes clear that her military endeavors were as much about sending a political message as they were about seizing territory. With every campaign, Queen Teuta was carving out her place in the turbulent political theater of the Adriatic, a region where every victory and defeat was recorded by those eager to support or oppose her rule. The move to capture an urban center like Phoenice, rather than merely raiding the countryside, represented a significant escalation in regional power plays, reshaping local alliances and rivalries. I also illustrate the growing unease among neighboring states, as her military feats presented new dynamics in warfare that challenged the established order. The blending of traditional Illyrian methods with innovative tactics signaled not just a ruler chasing ambition, but a strategist keenly aware of the shifting landscapes of power. Through this lens, the early campaigns of Teuta emerge as critical chapters in the saga of Illyria's transformation, shedding light on the complex interplay between military might, political ambition, and cultural change. The battles fought under her command echoed across the Adriatic, stirring both admiration and apprehension in equal measure. It was a time when the art of war was evolving, and Queen Teuta's strategies positioned Illyria at the very crossroads of ancient power struggles, leaving an indelible mark on a history that would soon become intertwined with the fate of Rome. Every strategic move and every battle fought during these campaigns contributed to a legacy resounding in immediate victories, while also marking a transition in Illyrian military art and political structure that would be remembered forever with lasting impact. As tensions simmered across the Adriatic, events took a sharp and fatal turn that would forever alter the balance of power in the region. At a time when Teuta's forces were celebrating an internal victory against a rebellious faction, an ill-fated encounter with Roman ambassadors transformed the political landscape dramatically. I recount a moment filled with tension and misunderstanding, a meeting where diplomatic protocols clashed with long-standing Illyrian customs, and where the inherent friction between ancient traditions and emerging Roman expectations reached a boiling point. The ambassadors, arriving in a spirit of negotiation, soon found themselves caught in a maelstrom of conflicting signals. Teuta, steadfast in her resolve to uphold the prerogatives of her kingdom, declared that the age-old practice of piracy was a cultural norm that she could not readily abandon. Amid the escalating exchanges, the Roman envoys became symbols of an intrusive force, and hostility brewed under the surface. I describe how, with rapid and fateful decisions, her attendants intercepted the ambassador's ship, preventing their safe departure. The situation deteriorated quickly, culminating in the murder of one of the envoys, an act that would serve as the catalyst for Rome's eventual declaration of war. This dramatic turn of events, steeped in controversy, was chronicled by Greek and Roman historians, who interpreted the crisis through lenses marred by cultural bias. Yet, in my narration, I emphasize that behind every action lay layers of misunderstanding and cultural disparity, a clash not simply of armies, but of worldviews. The murder incident, though shrouded in debate over its exact details, ignited a firestorm of diplomatic outrage in Rome. News of the incident spread swiftly, fueling a growing chorus of voices in the Roman Senate demanding justice and reparations. In the charged atmosphere of escalating tensions, the seeds of conflict were sown, setting the stage for an imminent war that would alter the destiny of Illyria and the broader Mediterranean world. This pivotal moment not only shattered fleeting hopes for peaceful negotiation, but also served as a grim reminder that cultural misunderstandings can escalate into irreversible conflicts, setting nations on an unyielding path toward war. With the diplomatic crisis behind her, Queen Teuta soon found that the simmering tensions along the Adriatic erupted into full-blown conflict. Rome, unable to tolerate what it perceived as unchecked aggression and rampant piracy, mobilized a vast military force to confront the Illyrian threat. As the Roman legions, augmented by cavalry and a formidable fleet, set sail for Illyria, the very foundations of Teuta's power were shaken. I vividly describe the scene. Thousands of well-disciplined soldiers disembarking on the shores of Apollonia, the rhythmic pounding of oars as Roman ships sliced through the waves, and the palpable tension that gripped the region as the specter of invasion loomed ever larger. In the chaos that ensued, Teuta's initial surprise was evident. Amidst preparations for an ambitious naval expedition aimed at the Greek colony of Corfu, she soon witnessed the betrayal of her trusted governor, Demetrius. Choosing the call of self-preservation over loyalty, Demetrius surrendered Corcyra to the Romans, offering his expertise in warfare to bolster their campaign. I detail how this act of treachery not only weakened Teuta's defensive network, but also signaled a broader collapse in the unity of her ranks. As the Roman forces advanced systematically, capturing towns one after another, the once thriving Illyrian capital Skadra became the focal point of an intense siege. The relentless pounding of Roman artillery, combined with strategic landings along the coast, gradually chipped away at the city's defenses. I portray the desperate retreat of Teuta, who, with a small band of loyal followers, withdrew to the impregnable fortress of Rhizon, a key stronghold that had long served as the heart of Illyrian naval power. In these desperate battles, I emphasize the sheer strategic brilliance and raw determination required to wage war against an enemy as formidable as Rome. Yet as the days turned into weeks, the military tide turned in favor of the Roman war machine. Countless skirmishes and fierce engagements led to mounting casualties among Teuta's forces. The Roman invasions, meticulously planned and flawlessly executed, left little room for the kind of guerrilla resistance that Teuta's warriors had once excelled in. I illustrate how the indigenous fighting spirit gradually faltered as the relentless advance of Roman might overwhelmed every spark of defiance. The conflict's shifting tides also introduced new strategic doctrines that redefined the very nature of warfare in the region. With each calculated maneuver, Teuta's aspirations clashed with the formidable reality of Roman power. Amidst the evolving battlefield, the clash in tactics revealed clear differences between the old ways and the calculated precision of the Romans. I noticed that the tight formations and stern discipline of the Roman legions left little room for the traditional, less structured fighting style of the Illyrian warriors. Each encounter taught harsh lessons about military evolution and underscored the unstoppable progress of a disciplined army. As battles raged, the resolve of Teuta's forces began to waver under continuous assault. The impact of superior strategy became undeniable. In those critical moments, even long-held bonds of loyalty splintered as coordinated Roman blows disrupted the unity of the defenders. Every shift in battle lines forced a reassessment of both combat techniques and the nature of allegiance. The once fiery spirit of resistance slowly yielded to the meticulous onslaught as the tactical ingenuity of Rome took command on the field. Teuta's ambitions collided with the stark reality of disciplined force, and her determined resistance was gradually eroded by persistent Roman might. This period of relentless conflict redefined warfare in the region and marked a turning point in Illyria's history, as the ancient legacy met the modern order of military precision with profound, enduring impact. Following the brutal clashes and shifting tides of war, Queen Teuta faced the inevitable consequences of defeat in the First Illyrian War. The harsh terms imposed by Rome reshaped her reign in an instant. I recount how, in the ensuing treaty, she was forced to cede the southern territories of her once expansive realm, confining her power to lands north of Lycis. In accepting the terms, she agreed to pay a yearly tribute to Rome, a symbolic acknowledgement of the empire's newfound supremacy. Despite the severe constraints placed on her, Teuta's legacy endured as she navigated the murky waters of post-war politics with a blend of dignity and resolve. It was a time of introspection and recalibration as she attempted to rebuild a semblance of stability for her people within a now restricted domain. I highlight that, even in defeat, her actions in the aftermath of war showcased the complexities of leadership and the challenges of balancing national pride with pragmatic survival. In later accounts, some ancient historians note that Teuta sought to make amends by sending an embassy to Rome, delivering captives, and offering apologies on matters dating back to her husband's tenure. Although these gestures were interpreted in various ways, they underscored her willingness to adapt to a new political reality. Ultimately, in this quieter phase of her life, Teuta embodied both the sorrow of loss and the resilient spirit of a ruler determined to protect her people, even as the world around her transformed irrevocably with unwavering resolve. In looking back on the tumultuous reign of Queen Teuta, I reflect on a legacy that has captivated historians and the public alike for centuries. Despite the controversies and conflicting accounts recorded by ancient authors, including Polybius Appian and Cassius Dio, her life remains a symbol of strength, resilience, and the complexities of leadership. I consider her story as a window into a time when the forces of tradition clashed with emerging powers and when a single ruler had the capacity to shape the destiny of an entire people. Teuta's reign, marked by bold military campaigns, dramatic diplomatic crises, and devastating conflict, encapsulates the spirit of an era defined by the unpredictable currents of fate and empire. In my narrative, I have sought to present a balanced account of her life, one that recognizes the biases of ancient narratives while celebrating the remarkable challenges she confronted. Moreover, her story serves as a reminder that history is shaped by conflicting perspectives, where both triumphs and failures intertwine to offer lessons for future generations. I underline that Teuta is not merely a figure of ancient warfare, but a testament to the power of resolve in the face of overwhelming odds. As modern interpretations continue to unearth fresh insights, from coin depictions to enduring statues, her memory persists as an emblem of heritage and national pride. In the final analysis, I invite you to appreciate the intricate layers of her legacy, understanding that it is through nuanced reflection on the past that we can better comprehend the forces that have continued to shape our world today. Her enduring influence reminds us that every chapter of history contains lessons of courage, failure, and unexpected triumph. Reflecting on her life offers invaluable insights into the complexity of human ambition and resilience, fueling our modern, lifelong quest.